Tuesday, January 9th, 90 Center Drive, 7 o'clock, regular meeting of the whole. Meeting of the whole is called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Trustee Brooks.
Present.
Trustee McClellan.
Present.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Here.
Mayor Tubbs.
Present. Okay. Still fine, because some people are not here, it's on the agenda, I want to follow everything right. Pledge allegiance. Thank you very much. General public comments, please. Consent.
Good evening, board. Good evening, residents. My name is Phyllis Saunders, and I just wanted to report to you how our community block club meeting went this past Saturday. We had and welcomed Pastor Brazier from the A.M.E. Miller Chapel out to our meeting, and he is very interested in becoming involved with youth here in our village in the form of Girl Scout and Boy Scouts. He is also advocating coming together with other youth pastors, with other people, pastoral staff in the community to help with this effort. Also, Chief Pate, or I don't know your full, you know who you are, came out and spoke with us about many concerns that some residents had, especially in regards to the drug paraphernalia shop that just opened up in the city. Okay. And he assuaged some of our concerns. So I just wanted to let you all know what happened at our community block club meeting. It's the first Saturday of every month. Thank you.
Thank you. See if another gentleman visitor would like to make a comment. Yes.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Oh, before you speak, I'm sorry. Ms. Sanders, if the gentleman would like to, is he a resident? He's over there on Exchange. And it's not someone thought it was our Bishop Brazier. That's not my Bishop Brazier. He's another one.
No,
So,
he actually lives in Naperville.
all right.
But he is the pastor of the A.M.E.
Understand, over
Miller
there on
Chapel.
Exchange, right?
Right.
And he's welcome to come if he'd like to join one of our committees. Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm Barry Kolonowski. I'm the Executive Director at Senior Services of Will County. And our friend Joyce Coleman mentioned that I should come and meet Mayor Covington here today. And I want to say thank you for the opportunity just to say a few words and introduce myself. I've been the Director at Senior Services for a little over 2 years now, and I inherited quite a bailiwick of issues over there. And one of the things we've tried to do has been to expand the services to a greater fashion out farther east in Will County. So we opened a satellite office right here in Monee so we can serve this area. We're at Thornwood several times, and we have a number of clients. In fact, I thought you might find it interesting that in general, our offices handled 56,000 phone calls last year at some level of conversation. And we had case management that reached 42,000 last year. So we're very active and very engaged, and we're out here at Eastern Will all the time. It's just that sometimes because we're working directly with seniors who are in their own residence, it doesn't always get seen. It's not on the front page, but we've been doing that. We offered information and assistance to the seniors out here in the number of 16,000 times last year. So we're very engaged. When I broke it down for just University Park, I found that we handled 206 phone calls from residents here that are in University Park, 235 case management opportunities that we worked with. And then what we do is every time we engage a senior in a particular area, that's those 60 years of age and over who qualify for services, we're out here, that what we did in University Park, we did that 951 times last year. So we're very engaged, and I'm excited about our newest adventure, is our Safe at Home program, which we are helping seniors who are needing simple home maintenance assistance. We can work with them. We have a relationship with Will County now, that as long as they qualify financially, as long as they actually own the residence, we can provide services, and quite often at no charge for that senior. So we can keep a senior off of standing on a stool screwing in a light bulb. We might be saving a fall, or a leaky faucet that becomes a mold issue, or becomes deterioration because of the leak below the sink that nobody ever sees. If you've ever had that experience of discovery, it's wonderful. But all these things can happen, and we really focus on helping seniors remain safe, healthy, and independent for as long as possible in their own residence. And our final thing I'd like to share with you is that we're having a mobile food pantry. We're actually bringing it to Thornwood in the month of March. We have partnered with Northern Illinois Food Bank, and with our own college right here, Governor State University is providing students. And so between that collaboration and senior services, and St. Joseph Hospital is paying for the money that's needed to buy the food, there'll be no charge at all to seniors who live in that facility to come down, load up their carts, and take it home to where they live and be able to have some kind of nutritious eating. So that's just kind of a little bit of a scope for you in introducing my face to your face, and that way you know who I am. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming out. We were, actually, Ms. Neva Jenkins and myself, when we came there to visit you guys, and we asked the company to come out here and let the people know what's really going on. And those are some of the things that some of the staff and I do off-site that people don't understand, and it's so much available. And it's even more that we're going to bring, that Will County has for us and the people in University Park. But we want them to come out and let the people here know what we're actually doing, what they have to offer for you. Because we do have a lot of community of seniors that does not live in Thornwood House. We have them all over the village. So we wanted them to come out, let you know what's available, and there's even more services. And we will be putting that on the website, and we will be putting that in our March town hall meeting as well.
Well,
So-
and even since June, we had our Safe at Home
Right.
maintenance guy out here 12 times in University Park to help with some seniors out here. I also left some cards. I'll have them at the table here. These are very simple. It just tells a little bit more of what we offer service-wise. For the most part, there is no cost at all because we have funding that comes from a great deal of sources. Happy to pass that along to you.
Okay, would you get one to all our board people?
I'll do that. How about right at the end? I'll walk around.
Yes, okay, trustee.
You said you're gonna, that open pantry in March, right?
Yes.
So how is that developed? Is it once a month or once every quarter? How does that work?
This was something that we decided to embark on this past fall.
Right.
And we're doing 5 of them, and that's our 5th, would actually be our 5th one of the series. And if we can get funding, we'll wrap it around again. But right now, it's gonna be a one and done thing here.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you. That's
But
it.
I did notice that in our last pantries, by looking at the trends there, that seniors tend to get about 1 month's worth of food out of that event. And so it's a great partnership and a great opportunity.
As you know, one we had at Pilgrimage Day, Perk Church is no longer, but I think they're gonna start up, and I do know, the other church, right there, Faith Movers are doing it as well. So this would be an additional for everyone to do and help.
Yeah.
We appreciate it so much.
And hats off to you on the sexual harassment. We just redid our policy at Senior Services and had an organization come in and do a whole presentation for our entire staff. Something that they brought up that I thought I'd pass along to you that we never thought about, because we talk about staff interaction, but it was interaction with the public.
Yes.
And I've got case managers going into a senior's home where something could be happening. I've actually was stopped in the hall 3 days after we had the presentation from one of our staff saying, what do I do? Because I have these couple senior men who keep hitting on me. And you think it shouldn't happen, but it does, even there. So what do I do?
It's from the school to the senior. We have had some incidents in our senior building, actually.
Sure.
And I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. I'll pass the cards around.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Ms. Gina Williams? And then RH.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just want to, first of all, wish everyone a happy new year. And I want to say happy birthday to my good friend, Mayor Covington. I just want you to know I love you so much, and I'm so grateful to God that you're here and that you continue to stand strong. You are a strong woman, and you have faced a lot of opposition, but God has kept you. So I want you to know I continue to pray for you and continue to watch as you go your journey. I don't have a whole lot to say, but I did want to say something about the meeting of the minds that's held here. I think, you know, they maybe had 2 meetings here. And I'm still trying to understand how, if we are in a deficit, how is it that we make this facility available free of charge? Because every time these lights are turned on or that water is turned on, it's costing somebody money. And I'm a part of CCC, the Concerned Citizens Committee, and I know several times when we wanted to use this facility, it came with a price tag. It wasn't free. So I would like to know what's the difference and why now is it, you know, because I myself, I have an organization, okay? I'm teaching Bible classes and prayer groups. So I would like to be able to use the facility. Am I able to do that at free of charge? Because if I am, then I'm going to start booking my dates up. So I'm just concerned about how we're going about this. And if we need revenue, I would think there would be a price tag for something that's not really village business going on. Because there's some outsiders coming in with their thoughts. They can meet in a church or somewhere else for that. But if we had to pay for CCC, then I feel like everyone should have to pay. Thank you.
Thank you. That is something that we're going to discuss as far as our policies. We're trying to put things in place and have some order. There haven't been a lot in order. We're in order. Okay, thank you. Mr. Travis, I know you came in late, but I'll let you speak because we have a 30-minute grace, so if you can, real quick. But you have to make it short because we have a 30-minute window.
I know. Mayor, Board of Trustees,
Yes.
the Park Forest Toastmasters Club would like to invite you to our open house on January 23rd. It's 7:30. Our club is international partner, member of Toastmasters International, which is in 170 countries. And what we'll do is that we'll provide a supportive and positive environment where members have the opportunity to develop their communication and leadership skills. So you guys talk a lot to the people, to the public, so it'd be good to develop your skills. Now we meet on the 1st and 4th Tuesdays, okay? And I know you can't make it on the 2nd and 4th, okay? But you can come on the 1st Tuesdays. And also I know that University Park has a Toastmasters Club
Yes,
also, okay?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, okay? And really develop your speaking skills and your leadership skills. Thank you.
And to let the people know, because I've been a member since 1997, we have ours at my job as well, Heinz Aces. So you can also be in more than one club.
Yeah, you can.
Because and you can go and visit his as well. And it's a great organization.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you. Mr. Hudson?
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize for being late, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak, Mayor and Board of Trustees, viewing audience. My name is Cynthia Hudson. I just want to put it out there to the public, whether you have a child in the school district 201U or not, it's very important for us to show up at these meetings because they're coming after our African-American children, our African-American staff, anybody of color that's related to 201U, they're coming after you. So I just want you all to, there's a group of us that's trying to fight some of this stuff that's going on at 201U, and we need help. If you're a parent and you have a child in this school district, you need to be at these school board meetings and find out what's going on with your children. They have a residency firm that the school board has hired to go after trying to find pretty much basically African-American students that's illegally in the district. They're coming after staff, students, any way they can come after you. The unfair discipline that's going on with our students, it needs to stop. But it's not going to stop until we make it stop. We need to come out to these board meetings and we need to come out strong and hard because that's how they're going after our children. When you go into the high school and you see the top 10 students, and it's actually 11 because there's a tie, the valedictorian is an African-American young lady, but you wouldn't know that because she's not first. So the school board member, Mrs. Albright, her daughter is one of the top 10s. So she figured, let's make it alphabetical order so my daughter can be listed first. So I question that. We're questioning a lot of things that they're doing, but we need help. And we need your voices to be heard, and we need them to be heard loud and often. We need to come at every board meeting, every committee meeting that they have to fight them and to save our children and to save the staff that's African American. We only have a few African American staff, but we have 80 or more % in this school district that's of color. So why do we only have a handful of staff that's of color? That's very unfair. When our children have problems and they need someone to go to, who can they go to that look like them that's going to really understand where they're coming from? They have no one. So I advise you all to come out and fight for our children, fight for our staff, fight for our community. Thank you.
When are the board meetings held?
The board meetings are held every second every third
Tuesday.
Monday.
Mondays and Tuesdays. You move to Mondays? You're Tuesday.
Monday.
Third Tuesday.
Okay, the Monday is the committee of the whole.
Right.
And the Tuesdays,
Right.
the third Tuesday is the board meeting
And they start promptly
at 6:30.
6:30. And you have to get there early to put your comments in, because if you don't get there to put your comments in, you cannot speak and you're limited.
Yes.
And they select what comments they want to speak sometimes, because, if they're redundant, they just won't do it. But they do have order there. So you have to get in there early, write your comments, and submit them.
So I'm just asking for your help. Thank you.
Cynthia. Okay, there's none others. We will go into, IRH.
Mayor Covington, members of the board.
You have the mic work, please?
Sometimes I hate to say things because I give away my age and I don't like people to know that I'm almost 100, but
That's a good one.
I worked for the federal government and I worked for the state of Illinois. I was a fair housing and employment investigator for the state for more than 10 years. So when you're talking about sexual harassment, your classes are not teaching sexual harassment, they're teaching prevention of sexual harassment.
Yes.
You need to keep that out front. Secondly, when a manager is accused of harassment under state law, that manager is going to appear before the Illinois Human Rights Commission after the investigation is completed. They have to go before the commission. I have also training is offered by the Illinois Department of Human Rights, and if you go to their website, you'll find a lot of valuable information regarding not only sexual harassment, but employment discrimination. It's a valuable tool, and I would recommend that you take advantage of it. Now, getting to our report, I attended the Finance Commission meeting on December 19th, and David Savier was there and talked to us about a number of issues. One question I asked him was why your agreements provide 90%, 95% of TIF reimbursements to the developers. And he explained it was because the developers put in infrastructure, which saved money for the village because they didn't have to get bonds. And so that is, so they didn't have, so the village didn't have to pay for the infrastructure. That's what he explained to us. Then he also asked me to describe what actions that IRH was taking with regard to TIF 2. He asked if we were aware that there was a $2.1 million obligation remaining from that TIF, with more than $1.2 million owed to the school board, and the remainder due to owed to other taxing bodies. I asked him if he had anything to document that, and he said he would search his papers that he had at home and provide them. I emailed him and asked him to provide his documentation. He didn't. He suggested that we conduct a review. In the meantime, I had my staff look at that TIF, and we discovered that there were direct deposits from Will County into Amalgamated Bank, which led me to believe that there was a bond associated with that TIF. So Cecilia, Kelly, John Lindboom, and I called Amalgamated Bank, had a conversation with them. They provided us with all of the documentation, bank statements, everything related to TIF 2. And what we found is that your village manager at the time, Lafayette Lanier, directed the bank to wire $1.2 million approximately to the village, and then there was another $274,000 that was put into the village's, what is that, a general obligation account. So about $1.3 million. So the village does not owe the school board $1.2 million. There's about $1.3 million that should have been returned to Will County at the end of the 23 years. When a TIF expires, if there's a surplus at the end of 23 years, that money must be returned to the county. And then it's divided amongst the taxing bodies, including the municipality. So so if you look at your tax bill, you can figure out approximately what the school board is owed, what the village would get out of that. We have to trace that money now and find out what actually happened to it. We know that there was no surplus declared because Will County told us. We asked them, they said that they've never received a surplus from University Park. So,
he did give them classes.
and we have the documentation, and you have a folder in front of you, all the board members, and if you look in that document, you'll find a letter signed by Lafayette Lanier and his directions to the bank, giving them instructions on what to do with those funds. And you can see that they were all returned to the village in one form or another.
And I see here there's, at the time the attorney was Boris Miles.
Right, and you will see, if you look at the notes from the meeting, you'll find it was David Savier who signed it. So I would think he would have been aware of what had transpired here. But at any rate, we have to trace the money to find out what happened to it, and our staff is doing that, and so that we can look at getting that TIF closed for good.
Very good, and that was 2010. Okay.
Yes, and you have the documents in front of you. I figured it would be better for me to hand them to you so that there would be no other issues regarding that. The second issue that he raised was there was allegedly a 12% agreement to pay 12% interest to Exeter contained in their TIP agreement. I called Thomas Goodwin, who is the attorney for Exeter, and asked him about it. He said there was never anything in the TIP agreement that required a 12% interest. He did say that there was something that required 6% or if something was late 8%. I asked him to provide documentation to prove it, and what he sent me was an unexecuted document. He said that's all that he had, and there's no reference in there to any specific interest rates. Also, Attorney Welch told us that Exeter had provided a certificate stating what they hold, and that that's all they're entitled to. So I think for our purposes, that's a closed matter. That's a matter in your attorney's hands. And I don't think we need to look at that any further. With regard to the TIF review, I'll let John talk about that.
Yeah, we've reviewed TIFs 1 through 6. Of course, TIFs 1 and 2, Mr. Rogers just referred to some of the issues we found with TIF 2. TIF 1 is also was closed with Will County the year prior, and that needs to be closed at the state level too, and I know that's been mentioned before. We've also reviewed TIFs 3, 4, and 5, and what we've done is we've reviewed Will County tax reports. We've looked at village documents for evidence of payment to the TIF developers, and basically we prepared like a summary or a spreadsheet of the money that's been collected on the tax end, what's been reimbursed to the developers, leaving a TIF balance. And then with that TIF balance, we take a look at what's left in the bank. And so with that, we come up with results in either a shortage or a surplus. So I would say that for TIF 3, which is applied systems, we're currently seeing a surplus. It's not a large dollar amount, but for that TIF, that looks to be okay. For TIF 4, that would be, there's only one developer in that's Blue Links, formerly Georgia Pacific. And we're looking at a deficit there of $2.7 million. But I spoke with Manager Pate, and there's some ongoing negotiations with that. The amount that actually may be due Blue Links would be a lot less if it's found that they're in their redevelopment agreement, as it is in any redevelopment agreement, there's a maximum dollar amount for reimbursement, and it appears that Blue Links might be pretty much maxed out in terms of how much money they've been reimbursed for. So we're still looking at that, but on the surface, from what I'm hearing, it appears that that dollar amount would be substantially less. The largest TIF, TIF 5, that's made up of 7 different developers, and actually 8.
Clorox.
Yes, including Clorox. There's been negotiations with Clorox. Last month, there was a sub-account that was established per the direction of the courts. So what was determined to be Clorox share of what was remaining in the TIF was moved to a separate sub-account, and that amount will be dispersed to Clorox depending on how things play out with that. For the other TIF developers, we're basically looking at what they've all contributed in terms of taxes with the tax increment versus the payments that have been made to them from what we can see from village records. That left a balance against what is in the bank. We're looking at a deficit of, currently looking at a deficit of approximately $17.7 million. So we're still looking at these numbers, but I'm sorry, let me correct myself on that. I read the wrong column here. It's actually $14.6 million. So we're still looking at these numbers, but this is kind of where we see the village at currently with their TIF liability. Some of the challenges we've had in reviewing the documentation, we've basically had some difficulty in locating some of the reimbursement requests that have come into the village in the past. We've actually reached out to the developers asking if they could provide us with some of the documentation that they had previously submitted. We've gotten responses from a couple of the developers, but we're still looking to get some more information in on that. So that's kind of where we stand with that.
Is there any reason why we don't have our form? The documentation's here?
We can't explain that.
It just disappeared? What you saying?
We don't know. We have records that we are looking through now. We thought that the easiest way to resolve that would be to ask the developers just to provide that information to us. They've been slow to do it, and so we're just digging and looking. We don't know what happened. I know at one time records were at attorney, what was his name? Mueller's office. I know when I first went there, he pulled out a cart full of records, and he told me that he had another office full of records. So when I asked Manager Townsend to get those records, she came in with one box and said that Attorney Mueller said that was all that he had. And so I don't know, I can't explain what happened to the records.
No, I distinctly remember a board meeting and it was stated